I've been using this keyboard for close to a year-ish at this point, and it is by far the best keyboard I've ever used and my favorite keyboard I've ever used. It is the Royal Kludge S98, almost full size. It's a 96 key keyboard. The difference being, if you look at a full size keyboard like this, the delete and all these keys, kind of this area here has been, seriously condensed right there, but you still have the full 10 key and you still have all the other keys and you still have all the function keys, and you have a whole bunch of other cool things which are key to why I like this keyboard so much. This is my first mechanical keyboard, and it's sort of perfect in that category because there are less expensive keyboards out there, there are higher quality keyboards out there, but when you look at like the Venn diagram overlap of price, features, performance, like all that kind of stuff, it just sort of lands right here on something that's pretty affordable, super well built, and can do a lot of things. The reason I needed this keyboard, I've been using the Logitech MX keys for a long time, for a number of years, and I really like this keyboard as well. It's great, it's a full-size keyboard. I love having a 10 key over here. The reason I like this one so much is because it has these 3 little buttons here that let you pair it very easily to other devices. So I could do my Mac Mini, my MacBook, and my iPad. Super simple. Last year I started playing a lot more games, including Final Fantasy XIV on my Xbox, and being able to use a keyboard with that, super important. And the easiest way to use a keyboard is to have one that has a little 2.4 gigahertz receiver, so something you can just plug into a USB and not connect through Bluetooth. It just sort of worked better on the Xbox that way. That wasn't something I could do with this keyboard, so it's kind of like switching back and forth between like another keyboard. I don't know, I just wanted one keyboard to rule them all, and that was this one. So this keyboard does have Bluetooth 1, Bluetooth 2, and Bluetooth 3. So that's 3 different Bluetooth connections, and you can, as you can kind of see here, I'm just using this little display to switch between them. Super easy. Barely an inconvenience. And then you also have USB. So this works incredibly well. I can like switch to USB when I have this connected to the Xbox, switch back to Bluetooth 1 when I have it on my MacBook, Bluetooth 2 if I want to use it with my Mac Mini, Bluetooth 3 if I want to use it with my iPad. And if you're not using the receiver, it just has a little slot for it right here to hang out. And the little display with the knob right here, it kind of can seem like a gimmick at first, but this is definitely one of my favorite things about the keyboard and one of the things that makes it so usable. This lets you switch through all the different settings. You can do Bluetooth 1, 2, and 3, USB. I can also then just use it as a regular USB keyboard. I can also then change this little screen if I want to. You can put, pictures and GIFs and all that kind of stuff. Haven't done that, I've just kept it as the default. Changes sort of the layout of the keyboard because it can switch between, not sure if you can sort of see right here, but it does have Windows and Mac configuration, so it can work with either, and you can just sort of switch between those if you want to, so that way instead of like, Windows key of a command function and that sort of thing. I don't know that it really matters which one you're in because it sort of just automatically defaults to whichever operating system or whatever device you're using it with, but it's cool that you can switch between those two things. And then this little screen also does let you adjust the effects. So like right now I have effect 17, which is just sort of, maybe I'd have to turn off the light. You can sort of go crazy with it and have it do all kinds of different stuff, including the ones like this where it like lights up as you press the keys, which is kind of fun. You can change the type of effect, you can change the color, you can have it be RGB, you can have it be a certain color, you can turn it off if you don't want any of that stuff. You can adjust the brightness, of course. I usually keep mine all the way down at 20%, which when I'm not in a super bright room like this, it's kind of cool to like see the effect. I like RGB effects. I don't feel like you need it at 100%. That is pretty darn bright. 20% seems to be pretty good. And you can also change the speed of the effect, all that kind of stuff if you want to. And the little display does then also let you know which mode you're in. I'm in Mac mode. I'm connected to Bluetooth 1 right now. We've got the time, we've got the date, and we've got the battery charge. The battery I found lasts a pretty decent amount of time on here, considering everything that it can do. If you have, a lot of RGB effects at full brightness, it's going to, change how long the battery lasts. Generally, with the way I use the keyboard, which is my main keyboard all day, every day for work and play, and I like having an RGB effect at 20% brightness, I have to charge this about once a week, which is pretty good. Super easy to charge, not a problem, just plug into USB-C. You do have some nice options here. You've got USB-A if you want to connect it that way. You've got USB-C for charging. You've got just a switch to turn it on and off, which I love, just a switch, nothing crazy. You can just disable it entirely if you want to. You've also got a little sort of switch button here for navigating through stuff if you need to, or assigning. And then the knob does work as a volume control for your computer. On the Mac computer, some people are upset because it doesn't perfectly sync with like the on-screen display and where this is, but if you just turn it all the way down and then you start turning it up, then it will be in sync with that. But even if it's not in sync, it doesn't really matter. You just turn it up or down and then it works. You also do have feet on the back, so they're two different sizes. If you want it to be, you know, like at a higher angle, you've got that option. If you want it to be at a shallower angle, you've got that option. That's what I use. And if you don't want it to be at an angle at all, you just want it to be normal, you've got that option as well. This is also a super chunky keyboard. And like I said, it's my first mechanical keyboard. I love the chunkiness of it. That is, my wife got one of these first, and actually she has a review on hers. It's a different model of this. It's the S98, but hers is a linear switch. Mine is the tactile switch, so hers is a different color. The switches are different. She's also the fastest and most accurate typer that I know. So I think her words per minute, she just beat her record 161 with 100% accuracy. It's pretty good. So you can go check out her review if you really want to hear like what it sounds like. And so the tactile switches are kind of the clickiest option that the Royal Kludge line offers. I don't think they're the clickiest switches that you could get, but they're pretty good. Like, I know it's not how people type, but hi, my name is Tom, and this is a keyboard. It is awesome. You should definitely subscribe to this channel, please. Thank you. Okay, so there is a different feeling between the tactile and the linear switches that they offer. Tactile is a little more clicky, linear is a little smoother. They both feel like mechanical keyboards. They're not maybe the clickiest switches that I've ever felt on a mechanical keyboard before, but I really like them. It's super comfortable to type on. It's just really fun to type on. They're really nice. I think both of us tend to prefer the tactile one, my wife and I, even though she has the linear. Although I don't know that you would really notice the difference too much unless you're very experienced with mechanical keyboards or you have them side by side. If you just get one or the other, it's gonna feel like a really nice mechanical keyboard, so maybe lean towards like the color and the style that you want more than the linear or the tactile version. I did originally want to replace the keycaps on this because the one I have kind of has like this washed out retro look, which is cool and I like it, but I wanted something bright and vibrant, and something that I didn't like at first was that the keys themselves, even though there's RGB effects, the keys themselves don't light up. So on my previous keyboard, on my laptop keyboard, the keys themselves light up. So when it's dark out, you can see the actual keys. This one, that does not happen, and that kind of threw me off at first. So I did actually buy some different keys to put on there. I bought two different sets, blue and white, and then I had replaced them all with these, and it was very bright and colorful. It looked really awesome. And these ones are transparent, so the LED light shines through these, and then you can see it in the dark. But that ended up not working as good as I wanted, and then I had made the mistake, again, first mechanical keyboard, I had made the mistake of just kind of buying like the cheapest keycaps I could find, and while they looked cool, they feel very cheap and plasticky. So after a couple of months of that, I had them on for a while, I was like, this is sort of frustrating. Every time I used my wife's keyboard, it just felt nicer, it felt more premium. So then I put the original keycaps back on, which they do give you the little tool to do that if you want. And even though I just like this keyboard and I'm happy with it, I 100% see why people get really into mechanical keyboards and switches and clicky things, and that's all really, really fun. So the keycaps that come with this are definitely way more premium than just the cheap ones I bought on Amazon. They just feel significantly better. And then the switches themselves, and then these are the switches themselves. So if you are a mechanical keyboard expert, you might know exactly what kind these are. But obviously that means you could buy this keyboard, you could switch out the switches, you could switch out the keycaps, you could do all that stuff if you want to, or you could just leave it as is, which I think is really fun, especially as someone who's new to the world of mechanical keyboards, and I just wanted something that worked well right out of the box and didn't cost a ton of money. This is kind of perfect, and then you can, experiment and play with it more if you want to as time goes on. Now the brand Royal Kludge, which I laugh every time I say it because it just sounds so funny to me, they do have a lot of different keyboards and different sizes and things. To me, this is the sweet spot because it's sort of like the perfect size. I love the weight and the heft. It's a big, chunky keyboard, and it feels great. You've got your full 10 key. I forget what these keys are called, the ones that are condensed here. I never use these, so I didn't really miss not having the big layout here. Super easy to switch between different devices. I've found this to be incredibly reliable. Like I said, I've had this for upwards of a year at this point. I've used it basically every day for work and play, and all I can say is hooray for the Kludge. And now, just for the sake of science, if you want to hear what the different keys sound like on the different keyboards, because I know that's, that's part of it, right? Is like the way they sound. Some people like the loud sound, some people don't. The Logitech is very similar to more of a modern keyboard, something like a laptop computer. The Royal Kludge, obviously significantly more tactile. And this is my wife's S98 with the linear switches. And if you want a direct side-by-side comparison, this is the tactile one over here and the linear one's over here. Anyway, so again, I know there's a whole deep world and a whole deep culture when it comes to mechanical keyboards, but this is sort of the perfect gateway keyboard, at least for me, because it does everything I need to do. So from a functional, practical standpoint, it works great. I've had it for long enough that I trust it. It's reliable. I love it. Both of us, my wife and I, like, we constantly just talk about how these keyboards are awesome when we're like working on them side by side, which I know is very adorable. But they are really cool keyboards. And I think that's really great because if you want to do what I'm doing, you're like, this is my keyboard, I'm done, it's just the keyboard that I use, it works great. But if you also are looking for that gateway into the world of mechanical keyboards, I think this is a good entry point where you have something that's high quality, you can customize and change things out a little bit, learn how things work, and then you could, I'm sure the sky's the limit in terms of different options and budgets for other mechanical keyboards. And as I mentioned, a big reason that I got this keyboard in the first place was because I was kind of going back and forth between computers and Xbox for games like Final Fantasy XIV. Even before getting the keyboard, I ended up getting this mouse, which is the Razer Naga V2. It's an MMO mouse with all these buttons on the side. This is really cool. It is super fun, and it also ended up becoming my main work mouse as well, because it turns out all these buttons on the side, they don't have to just be for games. You can assign these to all kinds of cool stuff. I use it for Final Cut Pro. I use it for Ecamm Live when I'm doing live streams and podcasts and stuff. So even though I'm using Mac OS, I can use this non-Mac mouse with Mac OS. That's hard to say. And I do have an entire separate video that explains the simple way that you can set up this or any other third-party mouse with Mac OS.